All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Well, folks, the biggest weekend in college football is almost upon us, as I'm talking about, or one of the biggest weekends, rather, in conference championship game weekend. Each conference across the board is going to have their respective conference championship game. Some of these games are sequels from the regular season, while some of these games have bids for the college football playoff on the line, and some games have first round buys in the college football playoff on the line as well. Nonetheless, for the most part, there's plenty of familiarity between both teams that are taking the field this weekend against each other, whether it's on campus games or neutral site games. But nonetheless, the action starts tomorrow night and it's going to end late Saturday night. And I'll tell you like this: if you are a fan of college football, the hair on the back of your neck definitely is standing up for this weekend. I think there's a lot of fun and excitement in store. And with that said, here are my picks and how I see things going down for conference championship weekend in college football. You look at tomorrow night in Conference USA, and of course, we've got Kennesaw State traveling to take on Jacksonville State. These two teams just squared off a couple of weeks ago, and it was Jacksonville State who got the best of Kennesaw State in that one. And now Jacksonville State's looking to do it on their home turf. In that contest, Kennesaw State quarterback Amari Odom threw 3 interceptions. That clearly has to change this time around against the Gamecocks. Wide receiver Gabriel Benyard, is he going to have a big game against Jacksonville State? We got to wait and see. Then this Kennesaw State defense, which includes linebacker Baron Hobson as well as Elijah Hill on that D line. Can they disrupt things for this Gamecock offense? Jacksonville State, they definitely want their run game to set the pace with quarterback Caden Creel as well as running back Cam Cook. Keep an eye out for linebacker Walker Osteen in this one for Jacksonville State. But nonetheless, I think this game is going to go back and forth down to the wire. And when it's all said and done, I'm taking Kennesaw in this one by the score of 30-28. Now, in the Sun Belt Championship, we've got Troy traveling to take on 25th ranked James Madison. And of course, James Madison, they're looking for their first Sun Belt title in program history. James Madison comes into this game heavily favored. They're favored by 23.5 points at home. Of course, the Dukes have only lost one game all season long, but nonetheless, you look at this team with Alonzo Bennett at quarterback, Wayne Knight at running back, and then on the defensive side of the football with the likes of Trent Hendrick at linebacker and Justin Eaglin in that secondary. Now, for Troy, they're definitely going to be flying high after they just knocked off Southern Miss to get into this game last weekend. And of course, if you're Troy and you're on the road against a team like James Madison and you're a heavy underdog, you're playing with house money. But nonetheless, I think if Troy's going to get it done, I look at their defense. They have to find a way to slow down this James Madison offense. And I like Donnie Smith off the edge as well as Jordan Stringer at linebacker. But when it's all said and done, I like James Madison to handle their business tomorrow in this one, 41-20. Now, in the American Conference Championship game, the winner of this game more than likely is going to get the Group of Five's automatic bid for the college football playoff. Why? Because we're talking about two teams that are ranked. Both of these teams are ranked ahead of James Madison in the rankings right now. We've got 24th ranked North Texas traveling to take on 20th ranked Tulane. And make no mistake about it, if you are a fan of offensive football, then guess what? You are going to love this game. Why? Because North Texas has the top offense in the nation. The Mean Green are putting up more than 500 yards per game. This is a reason why the folks in Stillwater have to be excited about Eric Morris taking over there as the head coach next season. The Mean Green have scored at least 50 points in 5 out of their last 6 games. Drew Mestamaker at quarterback was a guy who wasn't talked about a lot coming out of high school, but he is on a lot of people's radar right now with the season that he has had for North Texas. You look at wide receivers Wyatt Young as well as Cameron Dorner, as well as running back Caleb Hawkins. You look at Tulane. Okay, and when you talk about the Green Waves offense, it's not shabby either. Okay, with Jake Retzlaff, the former BYU quarterback, as well as wide receiver Shaz Preston. For me, I think this game is going to come down to which defense is going to make the opposing offense have to settle for field goals. But when it's all said and done, I like North Texas to keep on rolling. I'm going to take the Mean Green 41-31. Now, tomorrow night in the Mountain West Championship game, we've got UNLV traveling to the Smurf Turf to take on Boise State. The Broncos come into this game favored by 4.5 points at home. And of course, they are looking to keep their dominance over UNLV going. The Broncos have defeated the Rebels in the Mountain West title game in 2 out of the last 3 years. We also saw uh, Boise State knock off UNLV in the regular season last year. And of course, they did it once again this year, and this time very, very handily. So now, if you're UNLV, you have to leave your confines of the climate controlled Allegiant Stadium, and now you've got to deal with the cold and the elements up in Boise on a Friday night. You think about the Broncos, and of course, you think about their powerful run game with Dylan Riley and Siri Gaines. But now, good news for the Broncos as it looks like quarterback Maddox Madsen is going to return from injury for this one. Has not played since the Fresno State game. Okay, UNLV, they're looking clearly to win the Mountain West and also deny Boise an opportunity to win the Mountain West on their way out the door. For UNLV to do this, you know what they can bring with on offense with the likes of Anthony Calandri at quarterback, as well as running back Jaden Thomas and wide receiver Jaden Bradley. But I'm going to put the onus on this UNLV defense as well as the UNLV offensive line. Why? Because Boise State in recent years has not only punked UNLV, they've out physical them, they've bullied them, and it starts up front. And I know UNLV, they got to go out there and deal with the elements in this one. I'm not sure if they have enough to get past Boise. I think Dan Mullen and company will make this competitive, but when it's all said and done, I like the Broncos 34-27. Now, moving ahead to Saturday, and I'm going to start with the Big 12 championship game Saturday afternoon in Arlington, as we've got 11th ranked BYU taking on 4th ranked Texas Tech. The bottom line is one of these teams is going to win the Big 12 for the first time in school history. The Red Raiders come into this game favored by 12.5 points, in spite of the fact that they are taking on an 11-1 BYU team. Why? Because we saw these teams meet earlier this season in Lubbock, and BYU got punked by Texas Tech. The bottom line is you look at this Red Raiders defense, they put a lot of money, a lot of investment into this defense over the offseason through the transfer portal and the NILs. But nonetheless, we're talking about the top unit in the Big 12, and only two teams have scored 20 points or more against the Red Raiders this season. You think about the strength of this Texas Tech defense, it starts with their linebackers, Ben Roberts, Jacob Rodriguez, David Bailey, and Romeo Height. You got a guy like Bryce Pollock in that secondary, and they know how to make life tough for opposing offenses. The other thing here, unlike the first game when BYU and Texas Tech squared off, BYU's got to find a way to get their ground game going. They only had 67 yards rushing in that game, and they've got to get LJ Martin going early and often. Can this BYU defense slow down this Texas Tech offense? That's going to be another big question right there with the likes of running backs Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams, and of course, Baron Morton back there at quarterback. Texas Tech is favored by 12.5 in this one. I guarantee you that the folks from Lubbock will show up and show out in this one. And thus, I like Texas Tech to win the Big 12 30-14. Now, in the MAC on Saturday afternoon in Detroit, we've got Miami of Ohio taking on Western Michigan. Another rematch from the regular season. The Broncos come into this game favored by 2.5 points, in spite of the fact that it was Miami of Ohio that defeated Western Michigan earlier this season. This is the third consecutive trip for the Red Hawks to Detroit for this conference championship game, and they're looking to win the MAC for the second time in the last 3 years. Wide receiver Cam Perry from Miami of Ohio. Can he have a big game in this one? And then defensively, with Adam Trick on that defensive line, as well as linebacker Jason Kuwach. For me, for Western Michigan, their fan base, their community has to be buzzing. Why? Because this is their first trip to the MAC title game since 2016. The Broncos this year have won 8 out of their last 9 games, and of course, the only loss in that stretch was when they lost to Miami of Ohio. I like this Western Michigan defense with the likes of Tucker at defensive end, as well as James Camden at linebacker. Like I said, Miami of Ohio won the first game. I'm going to take Western Michigan in the rematch, 24-20. Now, the granddaddy of them all, if you will, for conference championship games. Why? Because it was the first. And I'm talking about the SEC championship game, as you're always guaranteed to get 2 teams ranked in the top 10 for the most part. This time around, we've got third-ranked Georgia set to take on ninth-ranked Alabama at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And of course, when you think about the SEC, the most common championship game we have seen in this game's history is Florida and Alabama. But Georgia and Alabama is creeping up there, as this is now going to be the 5th time that the Crimson Tide and the Dogs have squared off in Atlanta. Kalen DeBoer, in his brief tenure as the head coach of Alabama, has never lost to Georgia. Beat them once last year, beat them once this year, this time in Athens. For Georgia, and of course, they're looking to avenge their only loss of the season at home to Alabama, and of course, a win by Georgia in this contest would secure a first-round bye for them, and more than likely the second overall seed in the college football playoff. So I'm looking at this Georgia defense. Will they be able to find a way to get to Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson? Because for the most part this season, Ty Simpson has been calm, cool, and collected back in that pocket. Alabama's run game has really not been there this season, partially through injuries, but nonetheless, they're going to need it in this game, especially going up against this Georgia front. Wide receivers Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams always pose problems for opposing defenses. And then this Alabama defense with the likes of Justin Jefferson and Deontay Lawson at linebacker. When you think about Georgia, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and of course, previous to that, the Georgia Dome, has always been their home away from home. We just saw Georgia beat Georgia Tech in this building last weekend, and now they're going to looking to get their second consecutive win there. This Georgia ground game with Nate Frazier, can they get it going against this Alabama front seven? You know what Georgia's going to do defensively with linebackers C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson, and can they get enough out of Gunnar Stockton and his passing game? The Bulldogs are favored by 2.5 points in this one. I simply don't see a Kirby Smart-led team losing to the same team twice in one season. Thus, I'm going to take Georgia in a tight one, 24-23. Now, on Saturday in the Big Ten, we have the top 2 teams in the rankings for the college football playoff. We've got number 2 Indiana, and we've got number 1 Ohio State. Clearly, the winner of this one is going to be the number 1 overall seed in the CFP. I'll tell you like this. When the Big Ten title game was born back in 2011, did we ever think that we'd utter the words that Indiana would be a participant in this game? Well, folks, I'll tell you like this. That day and time is here. As the Hoosiers are for real, they belong, and the folks from Bloomington are going to make the 1-hour trek to Indianapolis for this one, and they are going to show a ton of support for their beloved Hoosiers. The bottom line is you cannot talk enough about the job that Curt Cignetti has done at Indiana in a short period of time. We saw the Hoosiers make the college football playoff last year. Now we've seen the Hoosiers go through the regular season undefeated. When you think about Indiana, like I said, they're a legit team, but now they have to find a way to dance with big old bad Ohio State, the defending national champions. For Indiana, they've got to find a way to score points against Ohio State, and that's not going to be easy with what the Buckeyes bring at you defensively. But nonetheless, this Indiana offense is for real with quarterback Fernando Mendoza, as well as running backs Kalen Black and Roman Hemby. And I like wide receiver Omar Cooper going up against this Ohio State defense. However, the Buckeyes have been no joke defensively all season long. No team has scored more than 16 points on the Buckeyes. They're only allowing 203 yards per game. Sonny Styles and company on that side, they take it personal when teams think they're going to score on them, okay? But Indiana can bring it defensively as well, and that's going to be important for them with the likes of Aiden Fisher and Elijah Hardy at linebacker, trying to slow down this potent Ohio State offense. The Buckeyes can get to you in so many different ways on offense. You think about Julian Sayin in the pocket at quarterback. He's got two of the best wide receivers in the nation, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, to get the football to. And then how can you overlook the season that we're getting from freshman running back Bo Jackson for the Buckeyes? Ohio State comes into this game favored by 4. They're going to go into a very hostile environment. Typically, when you think about Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, they usually have the crowd because the Buckeyes travel well. The Hoosier fans are going to show out for this one. Make no mistake about it. But I think Ohio State is still the better team. I think right now, in my opinion, Ohio State's the best team in the nation. And thus, I'm going to take the Buckeyes in this one by the score of 30-20. And finally, in Charlotte on Saturday night, we've got Duke taking on 18th ranked Virginia. And this is an ACC title game that most people are surprised to see. I've talked about it all week. I felt like Miami should have been there because honestly, at the end of the day, Miami's ranked higher than both of these teams. But nonetheless, of course, Virginia has one conference loss while the Canes have two. But with that said, this is a winner take all scenario because the ACC is going to be a one bid lead this year, whether it's Virginia or Duke. Again, another rematch from the regular season because we saw these two teams meet a couple of weeks ago. And of course, it was Virginia who got the best of the Blue Devils. I'm putting the onus on the Duke defense in this one. Why? Because a couple of weeks ago, when they faced Virginia, they gave up 540 yards of total offense to the Cavaliers. Vincent Anthony and company on this Duke defense. Can they find a way to slow down this Virginia offense? Because Virginia is one of those teams offensively, when they get into a rhythm, just look out. Chandler Morris, to me, I feel is an underrated quarterback with what he's been doing this season. You got to keep an eye out for wide receiver Trell Harris as well. Make no mistake about it. There's some people who expect Duke to lose and lose bad in this one. They're only a 4-point underdog in this one. And I think Manny Diaz is going to have his team ready because a lot of people, feel like they don't belong here. And because of that, I think Duke goes into this game playing with house money, but nonetheless, they've still got a shot to win their league as well as get to the college football playoff. However, you cannot underscore the job that Tony Elliott has done, not only this year at Virginia, but overall as he has been able to rebuild this program in his own image over the last couple of years. That counts for something. And when it's all said and done, I like the Cavaliers in this one to win the ACC by the score of 34-20. So, folks, those are my picks for conference championship game weekend. I hope that you all get to sit down and really enjoy these games. And some of you might be in attendance for these contests. But nonetheless, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are in the football state of mind, definitely check me out tomorrow as I will be giving you my game picks for this weekend in the NFL. Didn't get an opportunity to post things for tonight's game between the Cowboys and Lions. I did say, however, Detroit 30, Dallas 27. Right now, as we speak, it's Detroit 27, Dallas 16 in the third, with Dallas driving with the football. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it'll be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Also, definitely check this channel out throughout the weekend, as I'm going to have something to say about the bulk of these games as they go down and once they're finished in conference championship weekend. Because again, like I said before, there's still a lot of pieces to fit in the puzzle as far as the college football playoff goes. And of course, a lot's going to be decided, or everything's going to be decided rather, by Saturday night, as far as what teams win their conferences, who goes where, who's on the outside looking in, the whole kit and caboodle. So, nonetheless, definitely continue to check me out. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely check out the Sports Depot 365. And like I always say, in my opinion, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Definitely enjoy these games this weekend. I think from the start to finish, come Friday night until Saturday night, I think we are in store for some very competitive action. You can take your pick as far as which game that you're more excited to see. For me personally, I think the SEC championship game is going to be a dandy. I think we could say the same about the Big Ten. That American championship game tomorrow night, you got to keep your eyes on that, as well as the Mountain West game, just to name a few. But nonetheless, it is a beautiful weekend to be a college football fan. But nonetheless, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.